rich, magnificent, and powerful Arab country. In fact, despite its small size, it is one of the most amazing places in the world. They buy or become partners with major European companies almost every day. There is no limit to the money they spend in the world. Their biggest enemy is Saudi Arabia, but we hardly know them. So let's go on a hot desert tour now. Qatar, a small country on the Arabian Peninsula overlooking the Persian Gulf, has a population of only 2,200,000. What's interesting is that only 300,000 of this population are Qataris. The rest are millions of migrant workers. The country is governed by a constitutional absolute monarchy, and the current emir is Tamim bin Hamas Asani. Asani, who completed his entire education in schools in England, has been
from a series of
has been the Qatar, a rich, magnificent, and powerful Arab country. In fact, despite its small size, it is one of the most amazing places in the world. They buy or become partners with major European companies almost every day. There is no limit to the money they spend in the world. Their biggest enemy is Saudi Arabia, but we hardly know them. So let's go on a hot desert tour now. Qatar, a small country on the Arabian Peninsula overlooking the Persian Gulf, has a population of only 2,200,000. Qatar, a rich, magnificent, and powerful Arab country. In fact, despite its small size, it is one of the most amazing places in the world. They buy or become partners with major European companies almost every day. There is no limit to the money they spend in the world. Their biggest enemy is Saudi Arabia, but we hardly know them. So let's go on a hot desert tour now. Qatar, a small country on the Arabian Peninsula overlooking the Persian Gulf, has a population of only 2,200,000. What's interesting is that only 300,000 of this population are Qataris. The rest are millions of migrant workers. The country is governed by a constitutional absolute monarchy, and the current emir is Tamim bin Hamas Asani. Asani, who completed his entire education in schools in England, has been the leader of the royal family since 2013. The country's law is based on Sharia law. However, this is only apparent. Although Sharia rules are in the law, they are not in practice. The growing tourism and foreign influx have also been factors in the disapplying of Sharia rules. For example, do you think alcohol is forbidden? Then you are wrong, because you can drink as much as you want in hotels and at home. For this reason, hotels have become the center of entertainment life. There are luxury clubs and restaurants in them. These are the socializing points for local Qataris, high-level immigrants from outside, and tourists. It is almost impossible to encounter a local Qatari in social life in the country. As we said, the population of the locals is very small, and since they are all ultra-rich, they live in their own worlds. However, the most important point here is that Qatari Arabs are much different from other Middle Easterners. Every Qatari has a good command of English or French. They mostly speak English even among themselves. They also usually completed their education in British and American schools abroad. In other words, although they are Arabs in essence, we can easily say that they are half European and have more vision, unlike Middle Eastern societies. In fact, the Qatari state wants to make itself the education center of the Middle East. Electricity, water, natural gas, and telephone bills are completely free for local Qataris in the country, and there is almost no tax in any area except for businesses, such as hotels. So, where does this wealth come from? Is it just oil? No. Apart from having one of the largest natural gas reserves in the world, it is the leader of Arab countries that uses the money it earns most logically. They have made major investments in large companies all over the world. They are among the most important partners of companies such as Volkswagen and Sias. You can see Qatari partnerships, albeit small, in thousands of large companies in the world. In short, we can define Qatar as a company country. The whole world wants to grab something from Qatar's monetary power, but European countries seem to be taking their share of this pie with much more confident steps. Our problem is not the question of why Qatar, but only Qatar, and why the sales figures are not disclosed. Let's go back to Qatar. The country, which was a part of England until 1971, still has a very strong British influence. So much so that if you don't know English, it means you will have a hard time in Qatar. The Qatari royal family was raised in the English school to this extent. Almost all of the family members were educated in countries like England. 88% of the country's population consists of migrant workers from abroad. If you go to Qatar, you will see that most of the companies in the country have American or European executives. The low level workers in the country are mostly workers from other Muslim countries such as Nepal, the Philippines, Pakistan, Fars, and Egypt. Despite all this wealth, according to the investigations conducted by the International Amnesty International, the situation of the workers in the country is at the level of slavery. Workers are subject to serious rights violations due to excessive overtime, starvation, lack of rest, and degrading treatment. It is emphasized by institutions that especially domestic workers work up to 18 hours a day, and many of them have never had a day off. According to the investigations conducted by international organizations, not a small portion of the workers in the country, but 70% of them work in a slavery like manner. Although reforms have been made in labor standards under pressure from Europe in recent years, the situation has not changed much. In addition, since 80% of the country's population consists of migrant workers, there are 329 men for every 100 women in the country. There is an incredible male excess. Beyond that, Qatar has the highest per capita national income in the world. If you have an average job, you can easily buy vehicles that you would never dream of driving in your life. It is also currently one of the 5 safest countries in the world. Qatar, which is one of the safest places along with countries such as Singapore, Iceland, and Belgium, is so safe primarily because the locals are very wealthy and low-level migrant workers are kept away from social life to prevent them from getting involved in crime and are quickly sent out of the country if they make the slightest mistake. If we were to give an example of the safe environment in the country, we can say the ultra-luxury cars left running in the parking lots of shopping malls. Isn't that interesting? Of course, let's also state that the factor is always human and that 100% trust is impossible. European and American tourists are given great importance in the country. For this reason, the country's tourism network has been established according to them. Despite the fact that Sharia is on its constitutional basis, there is no obligation for female tourists or foreigners who settle there to cover up. In fact, there are many beaches in and around Doha. It is possible to swim from February to October. You can see thousands of people enjoying the sea on the beaches in their bikinis and swimsuits. And unlike other Middle Eastern countries, no one will bother anyone. According to the 2020 World Global Peace Index report, Qatar ranks 30, first among 163 countries. You can find many things to do in Qatar for 12 months. Nightlife and sea tourism are at the top of these. Sports are also very important in life. In fact, the 2022 World Cup was held in Qatar, and the country made a first in the world by investing $170 billion in infrastructure and superstructure for this. Qatar, the country with the highest rainfall in the Arabian Peninsula, is much greener than its neighbors. When you go, you will not only see the desert. In the deserts, there are many activities such as sports activities with cars and camel tours. In short, the country has managed to use its values well and turned each of them into an event. Tennis is among the popular sports in Qatar. 5 different tournaments are organized at the international level every year. However, although there are events, local Qataris spend a significant part of their lives in European countries or America. Locals face the situation of being blacklisted. No matter what, Qatar, which is a more egalitarian, more humane, and more civilized country than others in the Arab world, will become a much wealthier and more humane country at European standards in the next 10 years. Of course, if they start to give importance to human rights.